happy Thursday. And today is not a full day for us. We actually do have guests and we have good, real conversation. So it's not a full. Come on in, join us. Um, so glad to have you here, Joyce. Nice meeting you. Hey,
Same
Sarah.
here.
Happy
Hey,
Thursday.
happy Thursday. Welcome to our show, Joyce.
Oh, I'm so happy to be on it. It's very exciting.
And
I'm so
Joyce,
honored with two ladies who've gone through a lot, and you're here to be thriving. The whole concept of your stories and your group is, I admire you both.
thank you. Thank you. Make us feel really good for doing this. And thank you for opening our first of the month. And it's the
Yeah.
month of hope, a month of dream. Look, if Joyce is an expert in LinkedIn and social media, every single one of us should be able to do it. No excuse, right, Joyce?
Exactly. Exactly. Here I am at age 72, and I give my age because it's part of my shtick, part of my brand. I'm celebrating, by the way, today, 49 years of being married to Bruce Fuestel. I
Oh,
say it's a hard name and he's worth it 100%. And it rhymes with Joyce, if you say it right. And it was his idea to get married on April Fool's Day in 1972.
oh wow,
Because
it's your anniversary.
the
Wow,
actual wedding
congratulations.
anniversary today,
Oh,
today.
see? No fool, people.
No
No
fools. And if you want
fool.
to see what we looked like in 1972, you go to my personal Joyce Foistel page and you'll see my paisley wedding dress.
Well, if you
And
have a thing, I let you share the screen. If you have your picture right there, you can definitely share the screen.
oh, let me get it up. Yeah. Well, I've had all my
You
admirers
can get
here.
it up whilst we
Yeah,
introducing
here we are
ourselves.
live.
How about
Okay, here
that?
we go. Tell me when you're ready. So I can share that then?
Yeah, let
Okay,
me and Sarah real quick, but when you have it up, you can
I
go
got
share
it
because
now.
I'm already
Yeah,
for let you share. So Sarah, you want to kick off our conversation for the
Okay.
you go ahead.
day?
It's my job to kick off this show every time. So, welcome everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you, Joyce. And I'm Sarah M, the co host here. I grew up in Cambodia and gone through a very challenging time of my life. I almost died and struggled for 4 long years in the genocide era. But I'm here to give you hope because I made it. I made it, and I want to give everybody hope. If I can make it, you too can make it. So, I was able to escape from captivity and finally escape from Cambodia and arrived in United States 40 years ago. And
Wow.
my new life started challenging time, but it's it's looking up. I record my story in my book. It's how I survived the killing fields. It's available on my website sarahim.com. And now I'm going out to share my journey with people. It's
Great.
give people inspiration. So reach out to me if you want to inspire your team, your group, your event, and you can also reach out to Lee. We both are speaker and author. So, all
Wow.
right, back to you, Lee.
Well, thank you, Sarah. Yes, in case that you are stumbling into our group and brand new listener, we'd love to welcome you. We'd love to have you here with us. We all have stories. And my stories and Sarah's stories are very different, but very similar. We both get into the place that's called communist back in 1979. I was born in Vietnam, Chinese born in Vietnam, and we escaped out, we fled our country to seek for freedom via the boat route. So there's a
Wow.
massive exodus, 19, the late 70s. So so we get out to the sea with a rickety boat with 502 people on board, and we were on the sea with broken engines and travel in the sea for 7 days, got pirate assault 4 times, and the journey was harrowing, but we didn't know about how deep of a life sentence that we written for ourselves. We just plowed on because we needed hope and we needed freedom. And at the time, the boat was our hope. So I too finally share my story on the book. It's called I Did Not Miss the Boat, because I didn't. That's how I'm here.
Wow.
And the journey have taught me a lot of things, survival, and we have gone through a lot of challenges to get to where we are. So I was a scientist for 17 years, and I was a business owner for 10 years, and now I'm a speaker, a writer, a coach. So, you know, never think that I can do any of those. And I don't want to give away my age either, but this is, I'm not that young, and I'm starting a new career of speaking and coaching and writing, being an author. And today, Joyce had given me so much more hope, because I am not quite 60 years, a few more years, but I'm getting there. And I was shaky thinking at this age, and I walk away from my thriving business just because I feel like my passion is to give back and also to speak up for the people. I want to be representing the successful of immigrants and refugees who made it to this country. And, you know, with the current crisis, with a lot of Asian hate crimes, I want to speak up and saying that majority of the Asian people come to this country because they love freedom and they love the value of whatever this country has offer. They didn't come to this country to be spit on, to be talked, you know, to be beat up. So please help us. And by helping us, by getting to know our story, the difficulty that we have get to this journey to be here. We love you all in this country, and we just want to be like everybody else. You know, we pay tax, we are good, honest citizens, and we are binding to laws. So you shouldn't hate us. Don't hate us, please. And that's my message. And I'm sorry, I'm going off tandem, but I want to say that there's so much hope out there, because that a majority of this country are great people. They're not even just good people. They're great people. They took us in. They give us a lot of hope. And we want to return by, you know, educating the people that who still think that division is a good thing. It is not. So that's why we are creating this platform. We feature everybody's thriving story so we can understand each other. We can cross the culture and bind together a nicer and harmony place for us to live in. So Joyce, I am so glad and honored to have you. And I would love to hear what your story and why at this age you are start being the expert of social media and training people to be more engaged in social media. While most of the grandparents is like, I don't even want to be on Facebook. I just want to be Facebook to see my grandchildren. That's all. But you have gone beyond that.
So if it's okay, because you said it was all right for me to do this.
Yes.
I want to show here myself at age 23
oh,
with my
so
husband.
Precious.
And that is a paisley material dress. You may recognize the fabric, especially Sarah's a little bit older. I made that dress. I wore it all through the 70s to summer parties. There's a lot of facial hair going on in the 70s. Yeah, so that's in honor of our
Thank you for sharing.
Let me just show you one more thing, and then I'll get into it.
That is so precious.
So here's my husband, and here's the post. Here's what he looks like today. Still kind of cute, don't you think?
Yes.
So, if I may say so. Yeah.
Both of you.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, you should put it up side by side.
Yeah, that would be fun. Right. Yeah. So yes, I am 72 now. I'm married 49 years today, April Day. And the thing that I wanted to get to your question, Lea, is that it was 2010, 11 years ago, in March, actually, that my manager suggested to me that I look into, when I retired, to creating a business. He didn't put it quite like that. He said, since you're so good at explaining social media to, it was a college where I worked in enrollment, since you're so good at explaining social media to our clients, have you ever thought, he asked me, of helping other people in your baby boomer generation to understand, helping them to understand social media like you clearly do? Well, apparently I knew it better than I even thought I did, because I knew enough about mostly LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitter a little to get our students to get engaged, follow a Facebook page or join a group on LinkedIn, follow us on Twitter. And he was 35 back then. Again, me being 61, I was about the age of his folks. And I think he was really intrigued that I was that conversant about social media, where his parents weren't. Like you were just saying, a lot of people who are older have avoided social media, only go there for the grandchildren. So that got me thinking that maybe he had an idea there. And I pursued it. I took courses here at a local adult education center and just asked a lot of questions, read a whole shelves of books, and more or less just set myself out then to be the boomers' social media tutors and baby boomers. I created the business name in the fall of 10 when I was still working the day job. And then 2.5 years later, in March of 13, 8 years ago, is when I went full time into this business. And even though I don't make a lot of money with it, I will say, no matter what you're doing with a business, if you have a passion for it, like you ladies clearly do, and I do, you have confidence. I think you better really be excited about it, because you're the one that gets yourself out of bed. There's no time clock to punch in. There's no manager to give you a review. You've got to be your own motivator.
Yeah.
And because I have found that so many people are frustrated with their LinkedIn and they respond to me, they really appreciate the advice I give them. It's so rewarding to me, because I trained to be a teacher, back in the 60s. I mean, women my age, born in the late 40s or 50s, what options were there? I don't know so much in the countries you're from originally, but here in this country, it was mostly like teaching, nursing,
secretary,
maybe retail work, secretary, factory work. In the rural parts of Wisconsin, there where I grew up. And my mother had been a teacher, so I figured I'd probably be a teacher, but that just wasn't a good fit for me, because I'm not too big on rules and structure and bells that ring and such. So eventually I just did a lot of different things, raised 2 girls, born in the 80s, was a home mom for a long time. And then because at my last job in sales and having my manager give me this idea, that's what gave me a career finally at the age of 61 or 64 full time. So I think I've always felt open to new ideas. And I think that's a key thing when you're looking at being brave enough to go off on your own and start your own gig.
Yeah. And I think that is so inspiring, because many of us thinking, oh, there's going to be so many people who know much more than I do. Who's going to want to hire me? And at this age, I'm finally writing my book. I was like, oh, I don't know. Who wants to hear my story? It just, I don't write well in English. I can't even speak straight sentences. How am I, all this self-doubt, we got to shut it down. And saying that, what do you love to do? What's your mission? What is your purpose in life? Because at this age, we don't do to impress other people. We do to impress ourselves. Say, hey, I can do it. At this age, I can do it. Then I'm happy. And I am so thrilled to see that, somebody who's techno savvy and social media savvy and willing to step out and help other people. So I bet you have a lot of classes for senior, for the boomers, for the people that who are afraid of the internet or afraid to even send out their email address because fraud, because spam, because all this kind of thing.
Well, one thing I'd like to put a plug in for, and Sarah's really going to resonate with this, is Toastmasters, because she's a very experienced Toastmaster, has her distinguished Toastmaster, as do I, and only maybe 2%, I think, or 1%, isn't it?
Hey, I'm one of them too.
All Toastmasters have put that kind of time in and leadership and speaking. So I wanted to bring that up when you were talking about confidence. I think being part of Toastmasters, it isn't only about giving speeches, It's really about building your self-confidence, feeling good about who you are.
Yeah.
And the way I generally operate my business is a lot of it is one-to-one. I do speaking to groups, like I recently spoke to a networking group that Sarah's part of. And I don't know if you were there that day. I don't think you
Yeah,
were.
I was there, but I had
You were there.
to leave early before
Mhm.
you finish. Yeah.
So I do it now with actually, ironically, because of the pandemic, I've been able seeming really, I can reach out to so many more people than I would have otherwise without people being comfortable doing things like Facebook Lives or Zoom or anything like that.
Right.
And this may also, I'm going to split a hair for a minute. People who are seniors love a senior discount, but don't call us a senior. That's a word to the wise, right?
Only when to the early bird.
Only when it's handy, right? Because especially those of us born between 1946 and 64, that's the
Right.
baby boomer. I'm born in 48. We want to be called boomers. Okay, boomers is good because a lot of boomers, even though we're seniors, call us boomers. It's like seniors is an elderly. Oh my
I
God.
know, yeah, right.
You read in the paper an elderly
I would
lady.
call young active adult.
Right. Right. So it's interesting in terms of nomenclature, but I like to use the word baby boomers in general. That's who I've really honed in. I certainly help people younger than the boomers. Now, the youngest boomer, just a little stickler here, turns 57 this year. So is it
Yeah.
Lee or Leah? Am I saying your name right?
Lee.
Lee.
I'm with the tail of the boomer. Believe it or not, I am one of the boomers too.
I'm the middle boomer.
Are you born in 47? When were you born, Sarah?
50 in the mid 50s.
Okay, so you're right in the middle. Like, yeah. So like I'm older and you're in the middle. And then
So we are the boomer crowd
No,
here.
we're all the boomer
Yeah,
crowd.
yeah. This is the boomer platform here.
And I just love it because we really, I think a lot of our boomers are really live to full life. I think, our generation have changed the way that we taught our children. We have changed the way we see life because I don't know what is before our boomer.
Traditionalists, I've heard different words. Of people born between 46,
right?
Like say roughly, I forget the cutoff, but probably
they have been through very rough life, like
during
the war and
World War II.
Right. So it's a whole different mindset about that. But I think we are the generation that we actually got a lot of leeway that we sort of changing the way that we see the world and that lots of 55 and above developments that
Yes,
nothing but fun.
Right, active adults 55 and up.
Right.
So I think boomers really like to be contributing. They like to be involved. They like to feel like they're making a difference.
Yeah.
I mean, just the other day I was speaking to a group of Rotary members, with the service club. And I think who knows what's going to happen to service clubs as we all age out of them. But I know that's what I noticed. My husband's a very active volunteer. He doesn't have a business like I do, but he likes to make a difference. So I think that's where, when people think of LinkedIn and even Facebook, broader than like their own personal needs, like I could be on LinkedIn as a retired person and maybe somebody wants to do an informational interview with me about what it's like to work in that field. I still have business connections, even though I'm, say, retired from my old world. And any of us have made a pivot somehow that people could say, well, how do you know so-and-so? And then you can help them.
Right.
So I think the idea of being givers gain, really reaching out, helping other people is a wonderful way to look at social media, LinkedIn in particular, rather than just what's in it for me.
Yeah. I think LinkedIn is a professional place, so you can actually be in the score mentor and then teach people how to use it, because I have a big presence on LinkedIn, but I'm not perfecting it, and I should be, because that's where business is gonna reaching out. But my presence is more on Facebook, and I'm comfortable with it. I'm not too much of a Twitter. I dabble in a little bit of Instagram, and I'm starting on my YouTube channel. So there's way too many channels that you're gonna literally sucks all your times if you want to be in everywhere.
Right, you got to think, where's my audience? Who is reading my book? who are the audiences that you want to speak to? You know, what's the demographics, psychographics, whatever. Then you got to think, where do they hang out?
Right.
So, for example, I dabble in his Instagram too, yet I don't spend a lot of time there because it isn't as good a fit for me.
And it's not where your audience hang out.
I don't
either.
think for the most part. There are some
Right.
older people on Instagram, but also the format of it doesn't allow me to express information
Right.
that I would like to share, so visually oriented. And that's why LinkedIn is a much better fit.
Yeah, so I really love the fact that you can be anything at any age as long as you
Yes.
put your love into it.
Nicely
And-
put.
Yeah.
Yes, and I really admire, and I'm so like, this is perfect for April 1st, the hopeful month. So if anyone thinking about the career that they want to dab into because they love to do it, but they hesitate because, oh, I'm too late, I'm too old, I am too this and that, get over it, right? Look at Joyce, get over it. And you can do it. I can do it. Sarah can do it. Everyone can do it. And if I'm keep saying that, even immigrants like both of us, refugees that didn't speak any English and become authors and speaker, and I can tell you that every single bones in my body have doubts about standing up on the stage or giving a speech. But Toastmaster is definitely a great place to start, because that's where we built our confidence bones. And one by one, that it's all put together and it become a little more solid every time you speak about it. So you have given us a lot of hope, not in the sense that, that tie you down and settle for things that you don't like to do. I mean, there's a lot of people. I mean, Frank McCourt write his first memoir at 50 something also,
Oh, yes. Yeah.
right? So that's
Right.
that's why, it's like a lot of time people don't think that, and I remember what he said is, your insignificant is your significance. So whatever your heart desire, you can put it right there and it become magnified, it become a significant things. And I can't wait to book a session with you so you can teach me what's going on with my LinkedIn.
There we go. I have a quick story, which I haven't told for a long time, but Colonel Sanders, Kentucky Fried Chicken. Do you know about his backstory?
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit. As I understand it, he was about 65 years old, and a restaurant that he had in Kentucky was very successful. The interstate system had come through, and it bypassed his little restaurant, and he sold it for a loss, and he had Social Security coming in, but it wasn't much. But he had this recipe, this really good recipe for a certain kind of fried chicken, and he had connections in the restaurant world. So he had this pressure cooker, a certain kind of cooker. So he put the cooker in the back seat of the car, him and the wife, and they drive around to these different restaurants saying, hey, use this recipe, you can use my cooker, and then I'm going to get a piece of what you sell. I'm going to get a percentage. And that's what started Kentucky Fried Chicken. By the time he was in his 80s, he was a millionaire.
I know.
Maybe even a billionaire. I forget that part. So it's important. But that's quite empowering to picture this man having the chutzpah, the courage to say, I got this idea. I'm not hanging it up.
I love that word, chutzpah. I actually just learned that word not too long ago. I have to go to the dictionary and say, how do you say this word? This chutzpah. But I think this is the most beautiful time. If you think about it, we work hard all our life because we want a safe and secure paycheck, right? Now we have some sort of a financial stability because we have a stream of income or whatever, all the saving that we have. So this is the time to explore, to try something. Well, as long as you're not going to write out all your saving to do it. Something low capital, take classes and learn it like you did, like I did. I spent a lot of money taking online courses and going to summits and hire a coach or do whatever. But as long as you have a passion that you can fund it, and then once you do it, you're steadily making money. And maybe someday we'll we'll be like, Captain Colonel, Kentucky Fried
Couldn't
Chicken
stand
too.
us making the big bucks, right? Us and our
But
franchises. Yeah,
yeah,
this is great. No, I love your energy and I love your enthusiasm for life and the commitment to sharing your messages. Because that I think it's especially timely, as you were saying earlier, Lee, in our society, so, to say, listen, immigrants have come here to this country and made a huge difference. I mean, we were all immigrants except for the Native Americans. If you think about it at the
exactly.
core level, we all
Exactly.
came here from somewhere else. And it's so important to be respectful and see all the contributions people can make of so many different backgrounds. It's wonderful. It's
It
amazing.
is.
I'm
It is.
so
And
proud of the ones that I know.
yeah, and like you said, we all step in this North American continents or whatever you want to call it, from foreign. I mean, even not your generation, then your parents or your grandparents or your great grandparents.
Correct.
But at one point or the other, the new ones always got discriminated against because they're new. It's always like the new kids in the block, right? It's like you always ganged on them for some reason. But if you think about it, all of us have story. And I really learned about Toastmaster because it is a safe space to talk, to share your story, and you can be vulnerable. And you
Yes.
get such a great support because people learn to know who you are. And that's why we created this platform so people know us and we know others. And it's such a great way to form a human connection, a bond when we know each other more than just what you do, where you're from.
Oh, yeah,
So,
that's really wonderful. It's such a wonderful concept to really talk, because we each have our businesses, but we have our lives. I often say in the LinkedIn, I know we're wrapping up here in time-wise, but I often think of the LinkedIn About section. Really, it's us in the context of our current endeavor, but
yeah,
also what got us to this point in time.
yeah,
So that's important for people to include, I think, a little bit of backstory so people see, oh, that's how she got to be a social media tutor
Right.
when she's that old.
Yeah.
Just something about us, and then the testimonials and all too are so critical to
Right.
having people validate that we are
yeah,
who we say
yeah.
we are.
Social proof is
Yeah.
everything.
Social proof. Bingo. You know the terminology.
Yeah.
Precisely. Yes, absolutely.
But like, many times people think, oh, I don't need to look for a job. I don't need to be in LinkedIn, or I don't need to be anywhere. But hey, listen, we all have passion and we want to give back. And a lot of time you can be a mentor to somebody that you see them blossom and grow because they found you on LinkedIn.
Yep.
and they tap into your knowledge, and you actually nurturing a younger generation who understand the boomers like us and want to do things with us. So there's so many ways to impact the world that we lived in.
Yep.
We don't have to confine ourselves to the limitation that just bog us down. I think the more I love the Zoom and I love this platform because the more connection I have, like, I don't know if you know my story with Sarah. I met her once, and then I call her up and say, can you jump on with me? And she said yes, and we've been on the same ride for the last year. And we met the second time last week at my book launch party.
Oh, wow.
And it's a
That's
story
so
of
sweet.
it's a story of two refugee women, petite women. It's not even like big, and we can really see each other eyes to eyes.
Where do you ladies, do you live in the same area? Where do you physically live?
She's in Tampa, and I'm outside Orlando. So we have like 90 minutes drive.
Okay.
So I found a sister from a different mother, a different country, a different language. But for sure that we're going to have a lot of things that we can, collaborate and do things with. And I'm glad that she found you, and I'm glad that she brought you here.
Yeah, I'm blessed. Thank you.
Yeah, so we keep bringing on people here. She brought people here. I bring people here. And we just expanding our circle of connection. And it's just so precious. It's really
It
precious.
is. That's a good word. Yeah. Oh, what a privilege. What a delight.
So if you have the last word for our audience, and if you have a wisdom, a word of advice to share, and how can people get in contact with you?
Well, I think I'll start with how to get in contact with me so I don't forget. So my business name is Boomers Social Media Tutor. So that would be my website then too, BOOMERS, more than one boomer.
Boomers.
Social Media Tutor, TUTOR, like a teacher.
Cool.
Yeah, boomerssocialmediatutor.com. And I said this last week when I was on another interview. I said, if there's any word of advice, I say, when someone says to you, have you ever thought of, and they point out something they see that you're good at, consider it.
Yeah.
You might not go with it, but at least give it some serious consideration. Yeah. Because I would not be sitting here today, ladies, when my manager had said to me, have you ever thought of helping other people in your baby boomer generation with their social media, and had just rejected it. Because it did sound kind of far-fetched in a way, but it appealed to me at some level. And he knew me well, so I had a lot of respect for him. I thought, well, if he thinks I can do that, maybe I can. So I think a lot of, just like you said, a few minutes ago, some people, we underestimate ourselves. So really, when people see something in you, consider maybe that's something you could actually do.
And if I could inject something before you go on to the next point is, don't even thinking about, you have to be savvy, but whatever you do, even if you're baking a cake, if nobody knows about it, it's just a cake that for you and your family. But if you bake a cake, you know how to get on social media, you're going to get like people order from far and away. So social media right now is everything, and it doesn't even cost you money to do advertising.
That's true. That's true. So I think, just that. And also I think like one other kind of PS to the social media part is find your groove and stay there for now. I mean, be open to new social media sites, like you were saying, YouTube or other sites. But if you find that your wheelhouse, your strength is Facebook, then be there, be on LinkedIn. Don't let yourself get too divided, because then that will just, it'll drain you. It'll frustrate you. So you want to find where you feel is a good fit for you, and also not to feel just today I was telling my daughter about somebody who I feel is much better at certain aspects of LinkedIn than I am, yet I know that I have something to offer for certain set of people. So own that, and don't be intimidated by someone who's better than you are, because there's always going to be someone better than you are.
There's always another higher mountain, right?
Yeah, there's always an audience that needs you, and what you bring to the table, that's what they're looking for. So be careful about compare, because that's another downside of social media.
I think you probably know Amy Porterfield.
Oh, yes.
She's like big and everywhere, right? And one thing that I learned from her is like, you only need to be 10%, 15% better than the people you're coaching, teaching. That's all. I mean, it's fresh in your mind. All you need to be is a little bit ahead of them. You don't have to think like you have to be Oprah in order to have a talk show. We are anywhere near that, but we have in conversation every day. It's just because that show up and just, be consistent.
Perfect.
Yeah, I think it's the confidence and the reason why you do it.
Yes, absolutely.
If you're enjoying it, that's all the reason you need, right?
Yeah, to help people learn. Train as a teacher, they're learning. I'm happy. That's my why. And with Sarah, that's so important.
Well, exactly. I am so grateful to have met you, and I'm so enjoying our conversation, our talk today. And I hope that everyone who listening to this episode, I know I have quite a few boomer friends out there. If you need help in social media, please reach out to Joyce, Boomers, Social Media's tutor.com. So we're going to post that onto the